Welcome everyone. This is a video for MobX where we explore what MobX is, how it works, and what is its basic definition. If we Google our internet, we will see we have basic definition for MobX, which is MobX is a signal-based battle-tested library that makes state management simple and scalable, and by transparently applying functional reactive programs. So let's understand what this means. So MobX is actually a signal-based reactive programming. Signal-based means so we have a data and whatever changes we are implying on the data, if there is any changes in the state data, that emits a signal. And that signal in turn makes the application reactive. Based on that signal, the application state change. And battle tested means it is rigorously tested, it is rigorously implemented everywhere. And it has been proven that it works very well in different situations. And it is also a state management library. So state management means the current condition of data within an application. So if we look further inside the Google, we'll see we have an introduction with MobX. We have NPM packages. We have several websites dedicated to understand MobX and its implementation. So if we go to the first website, we'll see a basic MobX implementation information. Here we can see what actually the MobX is. So here they have mentioned MobX is basically anything that can be derived from an application state and should be an automatically. And here they have mentioned MobX is signal-based battle-tested library that makes state management simple, scalable by transparently applying functional reactive programming. The same approach that we explained earlier. So anything that can be derived from an application state should automatically come. It should not wait for someone to go and fetch that. It should automatically get implemented. So this makes the MobX straightforward, which makes write minimalistic, boilerplate free code and captures your intent. And it also makes effortless optimal rendering. And this is architectural freedom. So MobX is unopinionated and allows you to manage your application state outside of any UI framework. They have also given a quick example of MobX. If you want, you can implement this and you can see the changes. But the basic idea is we are trying to understand what actually has happened with the MobX with this simple diagram. Here we can see an event that is occurring, triggering an action which is updating the state is being observed, and that is called observable state. And that observable state updation is notifying the computed value inside the MobX. And this is again triggering a side effect, like rendering an application again, and which again is generating another event, which is creating an action. So it's very simple diagram and it's a very simple approach of MobX. Furthermore, we would, if you can see in the same documentation, we have observable state definition, we have actions, then computates, reactions, and other important stuff which you can go through and read them. And furthermore, to understand this in our application, we have to-do class, we have to-do application, to-do main. And the to-do main is actually having a to-do application imported from to-do component. And this to-do component is actually calling, um, is actually rendering a simple button, submit and clear, and a text box where we can give our to-do list and click on submit and we can clear it out. How this works? So it actually, for adding, it has a method called add to do, and for clearing we have a clear method, and we have a simple console log to check the render, which we can ignore as of now. And here, whatever is getting displayed or displayed over here with to do props, which is coming from the store, and it is mapping through each element and giving them, or it is um, rendering them one by one. So where the store is actually in the class JavaScript file, and we have created a separate JavaScript file, class-based file, and here we can see we have a simple store which we have defined here, and we have a constructor where we made this store as observable, and we have also defined two functions, add to do and clear to do. What they're doing, just simply the add to do is taking the input value and assigning it to that object, and id is actually a random number that we are fixing over here, and the to do item is an input value that we are passing it, and it is simply pushing it to that array. Same thing happening with the clear to do. It is simply clearing the to do store application, and as these are the actions which are changing the state, we have put it as an action inside the constructor of make auto observable. Sorry, pardon me, make observables. Make auto observable is also another function in MobX which we can use. So here we are, where in make auto observable, we don't have to define them by action or store. Here we are defining them anyway. And this basic approach in to domain, we can see we have imported this class base file and we have passed it as a props, the to do application. And if we see in to do application, to do component, particularly the props, that class based JavaScript class, that MobX, that store which are being passed is destructured over here, and after destruction we are accessing its add to do function, and we are passing the input value. What is that input value? It is a usual use state variable. We are setting this use state to the input box, and whatever the value is we are passing it to the add to do. In this add to do, when we are passing it to the add to do function, it is coming to this add to do function defined in the class JavaScript class file, and you can see we have created a separate object with ID and item, and it is just assigning the item to the to do item, and then it is pushing it to the empty to an empty array. That's it. It is just doing that. Similarly, when we are clearing it, it is just calling that function, and it is clearing the render. So it's very basic approach, and here we can see all of these are being achieved with the MobX observer, and this entire to do application. And one more thing which is important is the entire to do application is being observed. So this observer is there to observe for any state changes. So any state changes that is happening, any action that is triggering, anything that is happening is being observed over here with this method, to MobX React observer method. And this is how the MobX makes this application dynamic, very simple, robust.